Hello, I'm VJ Karana. Welcome to My Australia, the show about people from overseas having Australian experiences. Coming up today, Natsumi spends the day with a vet, Jay learns to brew beer, and Priya visits Australia's Parliament. Natsumi reckons she'd put an animal ahead of a person any day, but she's a bit squeamish. So let's see how she goes when she spends the day with a vet.
Hi, my name's Natsumi, and I'm half Sri Lankan, half Japanese, and I was born in Sri Lanka. I mainly grew up in Singapore and Hong Kong, so those are the two places that I would call home. I'm an only child, so I had to rely on my imagination a lot. I read a lot, and I would play by myself a lot. I did go to quite a few schools, different schools as well. I went to an international school, which was a whole sort of culmination of different people. And then from there, I've been in Canadian high schools. I originally really wanted to go to America for university, but my dad seemed to think that Australia was a lot safer. Thank you. I got online and I was checking around and I found Adelaide, and I just fell in love with Adelaide Uni. It was like love at first sight. I didn't expect to meet somebody like Scott so soon into coming to Adelaide, but he definitely has been my #1 sort of best friend and like my family. I couldn't believe he did that. I think with Scott, I get to stay in my comfort zone a lot more just because he's there and he's sort of like, not an excuse, but I guess I don't have to put myself out there as much when I'm with him. I never knew that I was unapproachable until I think about 2 years ago when I moved into a residential college, and apparently I had this persona of somebody who wasn't very nice. I was really surprised by that. I'm just used to being alone, and a lot of people find difficulty in understanding when people can be, so comfortable with just themselves. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it just means that I'm enough entertainment for myself. I'm at a vet clinic today, and I'm just gonna get behind the scenes, and hopefully I'll be able to learn a little bit more about certain animals that I haven't had experience with, for example, dogs.
With small animal practice, you never know what's gonna, come in the door at any moment. So let's come in.
It's not every day that you get to talk to vets extensively because they are short on time.
Hi, John, come on in. This is Bondi.
I'm a bit nervous just because of what I may see, but it will be great to learn what I can from today.
All right, so what's Bondi here for today?
Well, I'm thinking about having him dissect.
Okay.
So there's a possibility of looking in on a surgery today, and I'm a bit nervous about it and reluctant.
So how old is he?
He's 1.5 years.
Any health problems with him?
No,
or has he all been good?
No,
the last time I was in a surgery, I had to deal with my cat dying, so it's a bit of a touchy thing. And I think also I just start crying instantly. I can't help myself.
That sounds good. And what's made you decide to think about getting him dissected?
I'd just like to calm him down a bit and
sounds like a good idea.
Run away. He needs a bit of calming down.
Yep.
So do dogs need to be desexed for the same reasons that, say, for example, I own a rabbit, and they say that desexing a rabbit is better for its health in the long run. Is that the same for sort of dogs?
Absolutely. If you're not planning on breeding with them, desexing them, for health reasons is the best way to go. We take testicles off, so that means no chance of testicular cancer, which we do see in older dogs, and very limited chance of getting prostate problems as he gets older. Things like this are a good thing to help make him a nicer part of the family as well.
I love animals. I've had pets all my life. They've pretty much been more companions than pets. I have to have some form of nature in my life, whether it be a plant or a little fish. I just have to have that movement in my life.
You want to stay with us? Yes. So what do you think? You want to stay for the surgery and have a look?
Sure. And it's hard to explain it to people what that means, like movement in your life. It's sort of like somebody else there, and you just get that sort of companionship from an animal that you may not necessarily get from a human. Looks like you've got your hands full.
I know, it's a full house today, isn't it?
How are you feeling?
These dogs have all been dissected this morning, but Scamp needs to go out and do a wee.
All right.
Oh, good boy.
I definitely considered being a vet when I was little, but I think it's too much pressure, I would think, and I'm just so afraid that I would mess up, and that guilt could stick with me for the rest of my life.
You don't sort of think about having to deal with people, but, all of these guys have owners that you have to deal with as well. Just like, any job when you're dealing with with people. You know, you have to negotiate things and...
One of the main ways that you can work with animals that will benefit the most is doing admin work. Not a lot of people actually like doing that sort of stuff. So for me, it's probably the best way that I can help animals, even though I would love to help them on a more intimate level, I guess. Let's go, boy. Ooh, this way. I've never walked a dog before. Haven't you? Well, I have for a short time, and then he just sort of bounded off, and I was like,
okay.
I think I learned the most about just handling dogs, especially carrying a dog. I don't think I've ever carried a dog in my life. You're such an adorable little boy. Yeah, there you go.
Good work. And then I think he might be almost ready for surgery.
Really? Is he too excited for surgery?
No. So he's had his what we call sedation or pre-anaesthetic, and that's got a little bit of stuff to calm him down a bit, and it's also a bit of pain relief. So then we're going to give him a little bit of anaesthetic. So this will make him go to sleep. So you can pat him on the head if you like, Natsumi.
Is that all right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, you'll be okay.
That takes his mind off what I'm doing down here.
Hi. You're so good. Yeah. Everyone in my life has always joked saying that I would most likely have a zoo because it seems like when I see an animal in need, I just can't help myself. It's like I have to take care of that animal.
Do you reckon you'd like a chair for surgery?
Possibly in case I faint.
You won't faint.
Surprisingly, I managed to sit in the surgery. I think it so happened that I was in the room and I think it sort of came over me like, you know, okay, you're here, it's not going to be that bad. So, do you ever get emotionally attached to the animals that you work with?
Yeah, look, definitely you do. You know, we do have to be a little bit detached, I guess, emotionally, because if we were to take all of them to heart, we couldn't do the job.
It would break your heart.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, really.
It's the thought of it sometimes.
Like I said, I can't even pinch a person, so I think the idea is just indirectly causing something pain, even though it's good for them.
And the thing is, you know, he's not feeling it.
A few times, like, I just wanted more than anything to bolt out the door. But I think the fact that the surgery was helping Undi at the end of the day was really, it was sort of more comforting than anything, so it wasn't that difficult. So what would you say animals mean to you in your life?
I think it's a really important thing. And I think especially with kids too, it teaches them lots of things. It teaches them, you know, to be responsible and teaches them compassion and empathy for, you know, for animals. But there you go, you have sat through your first surgery.
I think I looked a little too, so.
Good on you.
Whew. Can I bail? Look at that. I think today has been great in that I've learned to overcome this sort of reluctance.
Oh, hi, you want to sit up?
He's like, what's going on? Just realize that, you know, you're bettering an animal's life, and that's the most important thing at the end of the day.
I reckon she was pretty pleased with herself for getting over her squeamishness. Good on you, Natsumi. Now, it's no secret that most Australians love their beer. Let's ask some of these people to explain why.
Love it. Love it. Love it so much, made my own.
Third generation beer brewer.
We're working people. We love our, I don't know, we're easygoing people. We love to socialise, and barbecues and beer goes together.
I drink a nice lager in summer, a clean, crisp beer. And in winter, I prefer a darker beer, like a stout.
Any beer is good beer. Australian beer's got to be ice cold, and it's got to be on a hot day. But for me, it can be any day, because I like my beer, and especially the more fruit, more bigger, bolder beers, which Australia make.
I guess it's very traditional, really. A lot of people brought up in beer, they see their parents drinking beer, so when boys want to emulate their fathers, I guess they drink beer. So.
I made a few runs when I was 12 playing senior cricket, and my old man took me back to the cricket club and gave me a shandy when I was about 12, so yeah, pretty irresponsible.
And just define shandy for the audience.
Beer mixed with lemonade.
I think it's part of the culture, and I play amateur footy, and you always have a beer with your mates afterwards, so it's kind of linked in, and as one of the things you're linked with having beer is good times with your mates. So.
Yeah, it's nothing better than cold beer on a hot day after you've been working, doing some stuff, or even if you haven't been working. If you just feel like a beer, it's great.
How do you like Australian beer?
Strong. Very strong.
Yeah. And bitter.
Now let's join Jay as he heads to a brewery to find out how beer's made.
My full name is Ankur Jalvi. I am from Delhi in India, and I'm 23 years old. When my father passed away and my mom remarried, it kind of changed my point of view towards people, and I think after that point, I became more independent. When I first came here in Melbourne, the first thing that I noticed was it was so quiet. I study in La Trobe University and I study finance, and right now I'm living in student accommodation. Yeah, I like to make YouTube videos.
Where are you going? What are you doing tonight? Why are you wearing this? Why are you wearing that? Wait, why are you naked in your room? What? I just come out and shower.
And it's all about what I have seen here in Australia and what I used to do back in India. There are so many misunderstandings about Indians and Australians all around the world. Over here, I have a couple of friends who are really good at instruments, like one of my friend, Aaron, and other friend Sam, they're really good at guitars. And other friend Andre, he's really good at jam bass, single drum. So we usually just, sit around when we are free and we just jam. We sing, we play guitars, we play drums, and it's really good. It's fun. Everything that I do here, most of the things that I can do now, like living on my own, cooking and cleaning and just, surviving on my own, it's completely a different thing. And back in India, I didn't used to do any of these things. I've never been to a brewery before. Today, I'm hoping to learn how they make a beer. How are you going? Good, thank you. How are you?
Nice to meet you. I'm Janine. Welcome
Hello,
to
I'm
Ricky
Jane.
Moses.
Hello, guys.
And how to meet the team.
How are you going?
We started the business, so we've been running the beer side of the business for about nearly 5 years now.
Oh, what was before that, before beer?
Wine. So we make wine. We still make wine, but we predominantly it's the beer business. So we make beer and we also make cider. If you're doing a stout or a dark ale, you get something like that.
Oh, okay.
So what we're going to do in the next process is we're actually going to crush those grains, and once you crush them, then it extracts that sugar.
All of the raw grain we get in the bags here.
In Australia, I've noticed that people drink a lot and on every little occasion. So yeah, I'd say it's really a big part of Australian culture. It was the first time that I actually drank something alcoholic when I came to Australia. To be really honest with you, yes, I felt a little bit of pressure when I came here. So for me, it was a little, awkward to just sit there when everybody else is drinking and having a good time.
What we're going to do now is put it through the mill, which will actually crush each of these husks open, and all of the starch and all of the stuff inside is actually what gives us the, makes out the nice malt profile.
So it actually helps you to bond a little as well. I'd say beer has actually helped me to make a lot of new friends here. Because once you sit, you don't know people, you sit, you drink beer with them, then you start talking.
So this is our grain that's sitting in the hot water.
Okay.
So this is to release the starches and convert them into sugars.
Okay, so this is this the first point?
Yep.
And, oh, great.
Yep.
You're making a strong beer today.
Yeah, that's right. So this process is called mashing. And so the grain is full of starch, and we want to turn that into sugar so that we can then ferment it.
Okay.
This is when we add the hops to get those flavours and the bitterness, and yeah, we just throw it in.
Which one is your favourite beer?
I don't know. I don't think I've probably got one favourite beer.
Okay.
I always like to find a new beer, and something different. And yeah, I don't really like to drink the same beer over and over.
Beer, fun, and work all together. That's great.
Yeah. So how about we try some other beer?
Oh yeah, great. Let's do it. Let's try some beer. I was actually really happy to know that what I drank doesn't come off with some really weird ingredients, but it's just grains that have been put in, and the sugar is used to actually make alcohol. And I was really surprised because I didn't know that alcohol actually comes out of sugar, and it's actually a product coming out of wheat grains.
It doesn't have all the yeast sitting in it. It's actually much better.
Is it hot at the moment?
No, it's cold.
It's all good.
2.5 degrees at the moment. So this is a black IPA. So it's kind of a new style that is getting a bit popular.
Yeah, it's a bit different.
So,
It's not like usual beer.
Yeah, no, it's kind of a new style, and it's quite hoppy, and you get a lot of.
It's actually good. It's good. I like it. Now, when I'll drink beer, I'll know that it's nothing wrong. It's just stuff coming out of wheat grains, and I'd enjoy my beer more.
Okay, so what we're going to do is getting ready for a bottling run. So, so what you've got to do, so we've got the labels on here.
Yep.
So basically what happens, we've got the bottles, we'll pop the bottles through, it'll go on through the labelling machine onto the turntable.
Apart from the beer brewing process, we actually had a conversation about the finances and the tax system that goes behind the beer brewing process. And I'm actually quite surprised that Not only is it complicated to make a beer, it's actually quite a big thing to manage a business that involves beer and winemaking. So I would say it's not when I drink a beer, the next time I'd know that it's not just a bottle of beer, but there's actually a lot of hard work that has been put into this one bottle. So I'll appreciate it more, yeah, that's for sure.
So the first one is our summer ale.
Before today, I've only heard about wine and food tasting, but today that I got a chance to taste actually food with the beer, it was actually quite nice because I really didn't know about food and beer being, you know, a good complement to each other. And now today that I've done it, I have to say that beer with certain kind of food actually goes well together and it tastes really good. Tastes great. Tastes great. The combination is perfect. Next time I'll have a beer in my hand, I'll actually think about the color and the taste and what actually got into that beer. I'll try to think about it myself and I'll appreciate it more than what I used to do before. Yeah, definitely. I'm glad that I had a chance to meet the brewers and get to know how actually beer is made. And I'd say I'm going back with a lot more knowledge than what I had before. Thanks, guys. Thanks for showing me around today and actually telling me how we get this beautiful beer in our glasses from starting till end. And yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for everything.
No worries.
No worries.
Cheers.
That's Jay finding out just what makes a decent drop of beer. Now, one of the most important places in Australia is the Parliament, and our next guest is lucky enough to be able to peek inside. So let's join Priya for a special visit in Australia's capital.
Hi, I'm Priyashni. You can call me Priya. I'm from Ba, that's a village in Fiji. In my family, I have my parents and I have my younger brother and my younger sister, so I'm the eldest. I grew up on a farm, playing with chickens and cows and horses. As a child, I would say I was very naughty and I was very inquisitive. I was awarded AusAid scholarship to do Bachelor of Arts in International Studies here in Canberra. I'm on an internship program with the Fiji High Commission. So I'm trying to juggle my studies and internship and work. So it's all fun at the moment. I live in a flat with my friend and I go for part-time work that's on weekends and Friday nights, of course. I think in Fiji we are much more socialist. We love bonding and being together. Whereas here is much more individualistic. I don't even know my next door neighbor, whereas in Fiji I know the whole village. So, back in Fiji I taught for 4 years, so as a teacher I was very nice and proper and I couldn't do anything that was out of line. My personal goal was to liberate myself more. My English has improved a lot and I'm doing things that I didn't think I would be able to do. I'm driving here, so it was another achievement, so really happy. Coming here, I really got my wings. I'm here at the Parliament House and I will be meeting up with an Australian network journalist to get a few tips on how to do an interview with Mr. Richard Marles tomorrow. I feel quite honoured and proud that I was given this opportunity by the Australian government itself to come and study here in Canberra. And now that I am taking a step forward and being in the government, plus on the TV series, it's an amazing feeling that even though you're coming from a small rural area, you could always go on to do bigger things. Hello.
Hi, Priya. I'm Catherine. How are you?
Nice to meet you, Catherine. Yeah. I met Catherine. She's one of the journalists at the Australian Network. And she gave me some really helpful tips on how I'm going to be interviewing Mr. Marles tomorrow.
If we follow in around here, I'll show you where our studio area is.
Sure.
In here, Priya, is the control room for the studio. This is Nicole, one of our directors. Okay. So this is the studio, Priya.
Okay.
This is where we record all the pieces for the parliamentary coverage for ABC and Australian Network. So why don't you go and sit behind?
Oh, yes.
And this is how, if you become a journalist,
okay,
you can sit somewhere like that and present the news. So come on behind, sit there.
Okay.
And you can just talk to me from there for a minute.
Sure.
So you're presenting the news.
Okay.
That's where you'd sit. You'd probably just address him as Mr. Marles, I would imagine. and his wouldn't be a particularly formal person, just just normal politeness. You don't need to just to greet him and say, how are you? It's always nice to make a few nice comments before you start the interview.
I guess the key thing I took away from the chat with Catherine was the etiquette I'll be portraying tomorrow with Mr. Miles. Probably the way I will dress up and the addressing, the introduction and everything, which I didn't think I would do. So now that Catherine has given me that tip, so I will probably incorporate it in tomorrow's interview.
Never swear.
Okay.
Do you know why that is? Why? Whether the camera is rolling or not rolling, you should never swear, because if you got in the habit of it, and the camera was rolling, it'd be terrible, wouldn't it? You can't wear clothes that are really busy or too reflecting.
Yeah, I'm feeling a bit nervous. Firstly, about meeting Mr. Miles, so there's a bit of anxiety there, and then now that I know there are certain expectations of how am I going to be doing the interview, so a bit of anxiety there as well. But then overall, I would say that now that I do know some things, that made me a bit more confident. So I think it should be a good day tomorrow. Tonight, I will probably prepare a bit of questions and probably my dressing and try and probably roll out how am I going to be posturing myself.
Mr. Miles, could you please explain your role and position? Mr. Miles, could you please explain your role and position as a Member of Parliament?
I'm here at the Parliament House in Canberra. Very shortly, I'll be interviewing Mr. Richard Miles. It's quite a chilly morning today. I'm a bit cold and nervous. I guess the cold is making me more nervous. But then at the same time, I'm quite excited as well because it will be the first time for me to interview. It's quite relevant to the studies I'm doing, that's international relations. Plus, he's also the Parliamentary Secretary for Foreign Affairs as well as the Parliamentary Secretary for the Pacific Island Nation, the place where I come from. So it's pretty relevant, and I think I'll learn a lot from interviewing him as well. I think I am well prepared. I've got the questionnaire ready, and with yesterday's helpful tips, I think I am prepared, and I'm hoping it'll all go well.
All right, if everybody's happy, I've certainly finished fiddling with all the technical equipment, so good, I'll record.
Okay. First and foremost, I would like to thank you, Mr. Miles, for availing yourself out of your very busy schedule for this interview.
It's a pleasure, Priya. Great to be here.
Shall I start?
You go.
Yes. As a Parliamentary Secretary for the Pacific Island Affairs and Parliamentary Secretary for Foreign Affairs, how do you view Australia's relationship with the rest of the Pacific Islands?
I think it's very important for Australia at a global level because this is seen as a region in which Australia has influence. And I think rightly, Australia globally is judged for good or for ill based on the way in which we behave in the Pacific. And I say this a lot to when I meet countries in the Pacific. Your neighbours will always be your neighbours.
Yeah.
And whatever else happens 100 years from now, the Pacific is still going to be enormously important to Australia.
I'm assuming with such a huge role that you play, it could be quite hectic to balance all the expectations like travel, family, politics.
For me, when it's all said and done, the people who are going to be with you the whole way through are your family. And so what's very important is that's all great, the professional stuff, you just do have to find time for your family. And that's how I try to do it. I don't know whether I've got the balance right, but you know, you sort of work at it every day.
I think so. Fantastic. What advice would you give to students like me who would like to pursue a career in international relations?
Go for it is the first thing. It's a great job, it really is. And I think if you present with a sense of honesty and sincerity and you present with an open heart about how different people live their lives, then this is absolutely the career for you.
Thank you once again, and it was an honour to meet you.
Great to meet you.
Thank you for the interview.
That's a pleasure.
Thank you.
It was a lot of fun.
I learned a few things on interview. That I should not make a lot of noise when the interviewer is speaking. I learned that from Chris, our cameraman. He passed me a note in between the interviews. Meeting Mr. Miles has strengthened my goals that I have for myself because I want to do something in foreign affairs as well. I'm doing something in that field anyway. So I think being able to speak to Mr. Miles and listen to his message, I think it really made me feel that I can do that as well. for my own Pacific Island, for my own Fiji. I would have never dreamt about being in a Parliament House here in Canberra, and I'm really thankful and really glad that I got an opportunity to be part of this My Australia TV series, because I have learned so much. I have grown as a person. I have got this amazing experience. I've met wonderful crew, so it's a wonderful, wonderful experience.
Well, that's it for this season of My Australia. We hope you enjoyed the series. Don't forget, you can see more stories from the show on our Facebook page. Thanks for watching.